Okay, we're doing problem number 3. So number 3 has 3 different ways of solving quadratics. So this first one is set up in such a way that we can use the square root property. So we subtract 48 from both sides, we divide by -3, and we end up with this. The square root of the square gives you x plus 1, and then the square root of 16 gives you plus or minus 4. Now we've got two equations, so we have x plus 1 equals positive 4 and x plus 1 equals negative 4, which gives us x equals 3 and x equals negative 5. And that is 3a. Okay, so now let's do 3b. So 3b is factoring. So if you can factor it, it's really the fastest way. So just like with the quadratic formula, you need a 0 here to use the factoring to factor it, solve by factoring. So I subtract 18 on both sides, and I get -18 equals 0. And now I'm looking for two numbers that multiply to -18 that add to 3. So one of them has to be negative and one of them has to be positive. So I play around with this for a little bit, and I guess that. Let's see if it works. 6 times -3 is indeed -18. 6x and then -3x adds up to positive 3x, and x times x is x squared. Whoopee! Then I set each factor equal to 0. And so I get -6 and positive 3. All right, so that's really, really super nice. And so that's unlikely to ever happen when you bump into one of these out in the wild, because it has to be super duper nice. So when Lisa and I have to like pick numbers, we have to really think about this to make sure it will work. All right, and finally 3c, which is the quadratic formula. So we've got 2x squared minus 3x equals -4. We cannot use the quadratic formula until we have brought everything over. So I added 4 to both sides. And then a equals 2, b equals -3, and c equals 4. So I'm going to get x equals -b, which is 3, plus or minus the square root of b squared, which is 9, plus minus 4 times a times c, all over 2a's. Holy moly, I don't like that. So let's see what happens. So I get 3 plus or minus the square root of, oh fiddle faddle, look. 4 times 4 is 16, times 2 is 32. So this is 9 minus 32. And what is 9 minus 32? Yeah, you're right, it's -23. Yuck. All right, over 4, sorry. Good. Problem, we can't take a square root of a negative. But so what do we do? Well, I think that if you left this like this, you'd probably get full credit. But let's talk about this. We have, because we can't take a square root of a negative, we have these imaginary numbers. So the square root of -1 is actually I. That's a pirate's favorite letter, by the way. And so you get 23, and so that negative will become I, and then we divide by 4. So that's our answer. So there you go. There's problem number 3.